I guess I'm back after a few weeks of not being here, and I want to send my gratitude to you all for uh, covering in my absence. I have been very busy, but as you can also see, so has Dustin because he's got a new backdrop. Not to draw attention to it, but he doesn't look too happy
Very,
about it.
very frustrated right now. I've been selling a house. I'm renting a house right now until it closes, and our media production company is not allowing me to put a virtual backdrop up.
But is it that you don't like the background, or what's the problem?
I just feel like the kitchen isn't the best
But
place to.
you must have like a big American flag somewhere. You could just put it out there to cover it. Yeah?
Big MAGA flag in the
Mm.
back.
There's lots
Oh,
of people doing podcasts, and I see American flag.
I do not own an American flag, Martin. I'm ashamed to admit it. I don't.
Mm,
Something to think
wow.
about.
I also
Are
don't
you
own
an
it.
American?
Not all Americans own
So, to the point, my absence was largely due to an interesting trip, which I want to tell you all the story about because it was super fun, and I think that you and people listening will learn a few things. I don't know, learn is quite strong, but
it.
let's just say
Find out.
maybe we'll be found out or entertained. I hope. um, and so yeah, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now. I was in Austin. I was actually in a place called Lockhart, which for people that don't know, I didn't know this before I went, is about a 45-minute drive south of Austin, and it's the barbecue capital, definitely of the US. I don't know about the world. Well, I guess if it's the US, it's got to be the world, right?
Sure. Yep.
So there's an interesting fact. So if you're going to spend some time in Austin, then make sure you get down to Lockhart and experience some of the barbecue. I did get to experience it twice on one day, once in Lockhart and then one in Austin. But anyway, I didn't just go to there
How was
for a
how was the next day?
yeah. So I didn't just go there for barbecue. I went there to go and film with Bedrock Robotics, and in the next like couple weeks we'll be releasing the documentary that we done with them. The trailer will be out on Monday, the 17th of August, and we spent a day there inside this place called Proto Town. And I don't know if any of you have heard of Proto Town. So like the guys from Bedrock were telling me about Proto Town before we went, and it was like one of those things you hear about, and you're like, "Oh yeah, sounds cool. Like it'll be good to check this place out." And like I saw that Ashley Vance done a documentary or something there about the place, and didn't think too much of it. But man, when I got there, like you drive into this place, it has like a gate, like like a cattle gate, kind of like a wooden gate that just opens. You drive up to this pad. Um, well, for me, it was very early in the morning, so I couldn't see anything. Security guard came out, was like, "Do you have a code?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a code." Keyed in the code, and you just drive into this like gated community. Apparently, 1,200 acres in size, and you have all of these deep tech, hard tech companies testing crazy shit in the middle of Texas. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know this for fact, but the only rule is do not die. So you have like
Hmm.
people like testing obviously autonomous excavators, which is what Bedrock done, and which is the reason for why we were there or why I was there. Then you have QB, we actually have a slot there, which we done something with last year. And then you have all these other companies who are doing like there's one company that had actually built a house out of the land that Proto Town is in. And then you have nuclear and energy and all this other crazy shit there. So not only was I there to film a documentary with Bedrock Robotics, I was also extremely overwhelmed by like just this haven of a place which housed all these incredible tech companies, including an airstrip where one of the people who has a plot there asked for an airstrip to be installed. He got an airstrip installed, and every day he flies his plane around the site and like lets out this like colorful stream of gas behind it. I don't know what smoke or whatever. As well as the founder who founded this place. He has a house on there, which we recorded some interviews in. Swimming pool, gym. It's just wild. It's like a tech heaven for people.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that was the reason for my trip. And then maybe another thing coming home. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this frustration before, but like I was there for what 3 nights, and then as I was about to come back, we were sat on the plane and it was very quiet. and we were wondering what the hell's going on. And at this point, I'm very prepared. Like, I'm ready to go home and see my family after not seeing them for a few days. And like, you get into this different kind of mental state, like, yes, I'm going home. And then the pilot comes on. It's like, oh, we had a slight mechanical fault. There's this part in the engine. It's been changed now, but we can't think we can take off because it's basically too hot in Texas with this specific part. And the weight of the plane means that it will cause some difficulty. But I'm going to check in with operations in BA at British Airways and see what they recommend. And he was like, okay, fine. And he goes, 15 minutes go past. And he comes back on the tannoy again. And he's like, yeah, we can't fly. Flight's cancelled. You'll get a notification about what to do with your seats. Go to the desk and they'll tell you what to do. And I'm like, fuck.
When was the next?
Yeah, the next one. I mean, like, the next one was at 10 o'clock that night, but that was obviously fully booked because there's 2 flights direct to London from Austin. And it's basically the quickest way I could get home was just to wait for the next day. So there was basically another 24 hours in Austin. But whilst I was there, and by the way, this has happened to me almost twice now. For anyone who wants travel advice, just go on to like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you use and ask them what you should do in your specific situation because it comes up with the best answers. So what it said to me, so the pilot was like, go to the desk, they'll sort you out of another seat and hotel tickets and whatever. And obviously there's compensation that comes with it. But I went on Claude, it was like, basically don't do that. Just book a hotel and like keep all your expenses and everything, and then they'll reimburse you. So then I was like, well, 24 hours in Austin, I don't just want some shit hotel. So I went on Claude, it told me like, be reasonable, don't go crazy. Just find somewhere like close by to the airport, which is within costs, and they'll cover for you like your Uber. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound like a good plan. Like, I got 24 hours in this place. So it gave me another list of suggestions. I was like, no, I want more premium. So then I was like, went again. And then anyway, it came up with a Fairmont in Austin, which is a pretty decent brand if you're into hotels. And so I spent the day there. And then in the evening, I went out in Austin by myself, right? Went to like a few bars and stuff, like checked out some of the music, had a couple beers, kept all the receipts and everything. And eventually, anyway, the next day I got home. I was kind of nervous about this claim I was going to put into BA because they're obviously not going to reimburse me.
No, they don't care.
They don't care. They reimburse everything. So I had a full 24 hours in Austin, paid for by BA, and I got compensation on top. So the outcome was not too bad.
You should have seen my claim to, I can't remember which airline, when I was on our honeymoon in Bahamas and they lost my baggage. I was just buying everything I could. They claim everything back. Yeah. No,
I think on a honeymoon you're probably fine, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
On your honeymoon.
They don't want that PR nightmare.
That was a year ago, Patrick. So.
So watch this space. Interesting.
Good. You had a good time.
Documentary coming. I did indeed.
Question, probably Patrick, for you here. Why there is no proto-town of Europe?
I would argue first and foremost. I mean, there's probably a list of arguments, but let's go through the first and foremost. Where's the space? And where's the space where you have a single entrepreneurial municipality who will just say yes and change their building code in order to allow that? My guess is Central Eastern Europe, more likely than Western Europe. Or something like Sweden, by the way. But no, Sweden also have like, let's protect the forests, etc.
Yeah.
That's the pity of Europe, like this kind of the European Union been like I don't know 50, 60 years, and they still can't have like a singular regulations that allow people to do stuff in a simple way, cross borders and all of that. It just drives me crazy. Like
I was reading an article that like something like 50 or 60% of the European startups are now just registering as Delaware C Corps. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah.
That's one of the subjects.
Yeah.
Oh, did I foreshadow that?
Well, yeah. I don't know, but one detail, one of the co-founders of Prototown in Texas is like an ex. I don't know what you call government officials there, but he knows people. So when they decided that they wanted free phase power to the entire site, I'm pretty sure the story is that he made a phone call and like anecdotally the next day it was in. So it's like you need to know the right people to make this shit happen.
That's true.
So what else are we discussing today? We are going to talk about the AI price collapse that has only just begun.
Hmm.
And
That's good news.
good news.
Yeah,
Depends who you are.
Hmm.
gonna be.
Why
cheap.
no, I think Martin bought the assets from situational awareness. That's why he likes this.
My name is not Ken.
We have the data center boom, which Martin, we experienced some firsthand uh, information on, I guess, on that. And I think that's like that too will cover us for today. So, Dustin, I know you have been doing some thinking about this AI price collapse. So, what have you got?
Well, I haven't. I've been thinking more about the topic we spoke on last week, and thinking
Oh,
more.
go.
Yeah, all of these effects and like the Fed. It was interesting. Last week, I was saying the Fed's in a really hard situation, and earlier this week, someone on CNBC had a similar point of view, saying the Fed's in a really tricky situation. Luckily, the inflation data came out and it wasn't that bad, which was a little surprising. But the Fed, when you back out what's going on with data centers, the economy is pretty stagnant. Ordinarily, the Fed would like to drop interest rates
Yeah.
to like reaccelerate the economy. But the Fed really can't drop interest rates because of this data center boom, which is putting a lot of inflationary pressures on the market. Um, if the Fed decides to raise interest rates, then that really substantially hurts the rest of the market, which is much more sensitive to interest rates than the data center boom. The data center boom's been so far. Oh my God, we have an earthquake.
Oops. Do you need to get outside?
It was a baby.
Or under a door frame?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little baby earthquake.
Get below this marble table, maybe on the left hand side.
Yeah.
Whoa. It just all started wobbling.
Really?
This is this little baby wobbling.
This has
How are
never
you
happened
feeling?
on Bricks and Bytes before.
Yeah. How are you feeling? You feeling escaping, or are you feeling?
No, I'm good. It's not my first quake. I've been in California most of my life.
How many stories is your building? Which floor are you at?
There's one above me. There's one below. Oh, it was just a little baby rocker.
Okay. I must admit, I'm not sure exactly how to deal with this. It's not a situation, but if you don't want to carry on,
Yeah, maybe
hide yourself, Dustin.
Maybe you go out and see what's out there.
Sometimes the baby ones, and then you get the real quake.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a preludium to something worse. Hopefully not.
Yeah, like the data center market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me?
Yeah.
So you carry on, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really tough because most of the market is actually not doing all that well. But the Fed lowering interest rates could allow some of these hyperscalers to borrow more at cheaper and potentially reaccelerate this. And the narrative that a lot of these AI companies is you're going to see this increase in productivity gains, is they're going to be deflationary on the market. The time it's going to take to actually realize productivity gains between how much capital and cost we're putting in the market now is there's going to be a huge lag. And we don't know how much productivity gains we're actually going to see, but it's probably years out until we're going to see measurable differences, in my opinion. So we're really facing a market that we haven't seen any before. But what I think is more fascinating is there's a lot of social angst happening in the world today, especially in America, where I would say one party in particular is targeting data centers as a villain and kind of represents this elitist that's technology and making money on everyone. And so
which is true.
It's going to create a huge divide in society. There's going to be a lot of tension socially about should we be investing in data centers, because they're adding costs to the every daily consumer, and those costs are realized on higher interest rates or realized in energy prices.
There's this belt or something in New York, right, where there's all the people that are living along this particular energy supplier are getting increased. The consumer are receiving increased cost for their power because of the data centers in that area, which just doesn't seem right.
But the Fed doesn't. The Fed has blunt force instruments, right? Like interest rates affect everything. Maybe Patrick, you probably know the financial markets better than me. I don't think they have a lot of tools which are they can apply market specifically to or have a lot of levers to say, hey, I want to target this segment of society. They might have social pressures where they pick up the phone and say we need to slow things down, but yeah, I don't think that they have a lot of levers here. It's kind of just like let's just keep waiting and seeing.
Very simple question: why can we not have, as we already have in various countries, in various sectors, different interest rates for different borrowing? That would solve the problem. If the housing market is crap, then you can lower interest rate, cost of borrowing for this particular market, and keep market rate for the other type of loans.
Sorry, what do you mean, Martin? Because we do have different interest rates for it. Are you saying why don't we have different
cost of borrowing for housing mortgages could be lowered down compared to the cost of borrowing
Funding
for
a
data
center.
centers. Yeah.
I mean, you can achieve that through subsidies, but that has nothing to do with like the guidance interest rate, etc. But you know, these instruments have been deployed in order to help people actually borrow. So I'll give you an example, right? So when you were getting a mortgage in Germany in the 80s and 90s, you could actually you could use the interest cost that you had for personal home ownership on a primary home that you were personally living in, offset against your income tax. So that was actually allowed in the 80s and 90s. So that was an instrument that achieved what you were proposing.
That's through legislation, not monetary policy.
Correct. So that is effectively fiscal budget relevant and not like what the Fed would do. But the Fed also doesn't have that mandate.
Well, on the data center boom, I found a couple of pieces to add to this notion that Dustin is talking about here. So last month, U.S. construction, one of the only goods producing industries where jobs actually grew, obviously because of the data centers. The ABC construction backlog indicator. So for contractors who do not do data center work, is 7.5 months of backlog. The ones that do data centers, 11.4 months of backlog. So the point is like, yeah, like there is completely two different worlds happening here. And what would the picture be if the data centers didn't exist? And then in addition to this, like these are facts, but things we hear is people's revenues like doubling in a matter of years, and like going beyond beyond exponential growth that they have experienced in any time in the history of their companies. And like, what happens 3, 4, 5 years from now when that work dries up, as well as a surplus of electricians and everyone else that you have because of all the big tech companies who are.
I'm just curious where you take the 3, 4, 5 years from.
Maybe that's too short, yeah.
Or too long.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, as in, it should only be on a horizon of 1 to 2. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying that is exactly the risk in the market that might happen.
You have seen construction companies grow like technology companies, which it wasn't thought possible before, which is crazy. I sit on the board of a large subcontractor. We've been talking about this. I think most the reasonable contractors, the one I'm a part of is very well run, are monitoring their total book and percentage of it attributed to data centers at this point. There is, while I say it's unlikely right now, a risk that these data centers, that there's a pullback in this market for reasons being if pricing starts collapsing, then these become very difficult projects to finance, the amount of capital that they're looking to finance. But there are companies, particularly on the specialty trade side, that above 90% of their revenue are data centers. There are tech companies that have seen huge acceleration where a lot of their subscriptions are solely due to data center boom. And so if this boom peters out, it's not going to zero. We're going to need the compute. Long-term society digital is moving to a completely digital infrastructure. And so we'll need this, but the rate at which we're adding seems a little hesitant.
On this, on the rates and all, I think we all so biased on the recent numbers, because there are some stats showing that in the US, 30-year fixed rate mortgage averages in the last 30 years 6.69%. Yeah. So Freddie Mac started tracking it in 1971, and last 30 years average 7.7%. Yeah, so around 8%. Today we are at 6.7. Take this into consideration. Then since 2016, 17, 18, 19, the rates, this average, like 10-year average, is below 4. And that's the problem everyone is kind of having in their mind. If we think that right now it's high, it's not high, it's still below 30-year average. So I think just the regime of borrowing and doing business at the lower rates has to change in time in people's head. And it's not that it's never been like that before. You know, I think you guys have like 18% rates in 70 something for a while.
I wasn't alive in 70 something.
No, you as in Americans, no?
In the 80s, who was the Fed that just
Volcker.
Volcker. He just smashed interest rates up to like 18%. Yeah.
Yes. So we're still below 30-year average. So, you know, just looking at the data, it's not that high really. It is high when we think about zero rates coming into 2020 and all of the pandemic. But
a lot of these new buyers are 25 to 30-year-olds that have never seen an interest rate on a mortgage that was above 5%.
Who cares? I mean, who cares?
I can tell you that's why there's a lot of social unrest, because they'll say we don't care about 1980, 1970.
I mean, that's different conversation. Yeah, no.
But it was also 18% on what was, let's say you buy a house for $50,000, and you know the discrepancy between the home purchase price and your annual
and a salary. Yeah, I agree. That's fucked up. Yes, that's fucked up.
Academic, someone commented saying, in Ireland, the government makes a gambling that electricians or pipe fitters and plumbers will be released back into economy to build housing, stuff that is needed before public outrage boils over.
I'll have to read it myself.
I mean, this gets back to my point last week. The Fed doesn't have the typical instruments to sort of temper this market.
Yeah.
A lot of this circular lending. Actually, there was an article on CNBC today talking about some of how these projects are being financed. I was reading that some of how they underwrite the value of these assets, like.
Good luck trying to understand it.
Yeah, but at some point they have to set a value of how you depreciate the chips. Patrick, I think the standard model, are they using like these GPUs depreciate over 5 years or 6 years? But there could be some in that, like, what's the point in time you need to go completely overhaul the GPUs that you've
like physically?
Yeah.
I think it's faster than 5 years.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll last that long.
I think in the financial models they were using 4. And I think the thought process now is these chips are going to be outdated in 2. And so that actually changes the whole capital structure of some of these deals. And if that's true, then these deals are a lot more expensive than maybe the underlying assumptions that they're being financed under. So there is some actual financial risk here. But if you were expecting to spend $100 billion on chips every 4 years, and you do it every 2 years, you just doubled the amount you need to finance, which is a big boo-boo.
I'm going to say something contrarian, and Martin, you will perhaps find this interesting. I think the US in particular is dangerously close to the brink of being Japan 1989. So there's a real chance of stagflation happening a lot, because we are moving into absolutely insane price to earnings, asset overvaluation territory. And people think stocks when I say that, but asset overvaluation in the private and the infrastructure market is insane. And when you fall off a cliff, there's a lot of manufactured money, notional value money that someone owes, and the cash is not in the system. And then all of a sudden, the banks are sitting on a ton of debt that will not be serviced effectively, and the assets being built by it are actually not that valuable. Now, that might not materialize, but if it does, it's going to be a very hard crash. And on the other side of that, you're building assets right now that actually supplant, substitute, replace the tax-paying workforce. So you could of course make the argument, hey, they would retire anyway. Yes, but it doesn't change the problem, because you are actually going to lose tax base from income tax, and you're building the asset to accelerate all of that. So that is also manageable if you're being very bold of replacing that with, for example, a tax on installed robots, which I'm a fan of. I think that's something that we should do very, very quickly. And you could do the same, by the way, on AI tokens. I don't see why that couldn't be done. Yeah. So if you want to have that debate, you could probably find good arguments for doing that, and you could then substitute the loss of tax base in salary income. But if you're not doing that decisively, I think you're actually in a situation where if you keep fueling this machine, you would move very close to being Japan 1989, and the next few decades might not be very pretty. Now, what's different is dollar is still the world reserve currency, but I would also say there's really a few motivated parties around the globe trying to make that change happen faster than you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The difference is that US is what's the word, hegemon. Japan has never been. So Japan cannot print themselves out of the problem without being devalued in a crazy way. But I think in the US case as well, if there is a problem with their bond market, then the other markets will notice it, and it might be going down. But I don't think it's a contrarian view what you said. I hear this actually quite often about very inflated bubble that might burst. But like when I've
here as an on podcast.
Not here.
No, but you hear it on podcasts.
On podcasts, yes, on podcasts.
American or non-American?
American, yeah. There's a guy called Jeff Snyder, for example. Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
So to summarize, Dustin, you have this like I guess we've been saying it for a while, but like you have two markets kind of working in one which is like being inflated because of the whole AI data center boom, and one which is like almost stagnant.
And what's been fascinating is there's dislocations as well. Like, remove the data center. If you go to one market to another, like San Francisco is actually, the Bay Area is actually quite healthy in all markets. But then you go to some other market and then like there's nothing going on. Like, I'm not as old as many people. I've never seen so many dislocated markets where some are doing great, some are doing shitty, some industries are doing, like some different verticals are doing well. It's really fascinating.
But this is actually telling, I think. If the tide is not lifting everyone the same way, that is actually telling about some problems. Because if it is, I mean, I don't know, economical, societal, whatever. But if it's always been like that, everyone was lifted, and right now there's people being lifted, some people are left behind. That means that it's not a paradise anymore, or not becoming. Yeah.
And to Dustin's point about the AI productivity gains not being realized, Martin, when we done this roundtable a few weeks ago in London with some people who work in large construction companies, the, pretty much I can't remember it was every single one, but a good chunk of them were like, how are we measuring productivity gains on AI? Like no one had the answer, and obviously no one had seen the impact yet.
Well,
So it's real.
I saw on LinkedIn, I didn't call this person out, and I should have, but I was at the airport, so I didn't do my normal "your numbers make no sense" thing. But I want to. This
Do
person,
it now.
Oh, I'm going to. Don't worry. This person cited a Turner stat, and I don't know if Turner actually said this, but the number said Turner said they saved 70,000 man hours. 70,000 man hours. Okay, I didn't hear a single report where Turner said they laid off people or didn't hire. The only way you save 70,000 man hours is you let people go. Did that increase?
And you can measure it.
Did that make Turner more profitable? No. And is it likely that Turner would even let anyone go because of it? No. Because at the end of the day, a GC is billing the client by the amount of people they have on the project. It's a fact. Now, look, the GC wants to give the client the best service possible. And if the market becomes competitive, that you can manage a project with less people, then the market will adjust. But at no point have we shown in all of construction technology that we manage project with less people than we did 20 years ago. And we've had this whole tech boom. So have we made construction more efficient, or have we added cost to construction today? There is some, you can debate, there is some ways that we have saved the industry some capital, but it's not a material gain. Like a lot of company, and this is my biggest hype with the whole venture capital market and like all this hype, and like everyone talks about we need to make construction more efficient because construction is a bottleneck in us realizing all this infrastructure. So if we can make it more efficient, that's generally good. But saying you save a company 70,000 man hours, or you save anyone 2 man hours, does it change how much money they actually have to spend total? If not, then it's really a marginal gain at best. You just made their lives a little better, which is good. We want to make everyone's lives better, but we're not making a material impact to the business. Like you can't now build a project that much cheaper. You might be able to build it with marginally higher quality, a little less rework, so companies are a little more profitable. But people conflate time savings with cost savings.
Yeah, I don't buy the time savings game.
You said that GC likes to put out a lot of people on site, so then it provides the customer with the best service, right?
Well, in general, the contractors I deal with, they're just trying to build the best product possible.
Yeah.
And they want to properly staff the project.
Yes.
But they are not going to remove headcount until they are sure that they can deliver that project. And so even if you make a project engineer, let's say 25% more efficient, they're not pulling that project engineer off the project. The project engineer is going to be there for that duration. So it didn't change the financial structure of the project. It still costs the same amount of money. Actually, it costs a little more because you're paying for a little agent to go do things.
Yeah, I think you're just adding resource to the project. Yeah? Like now you need someone to manage the AI.
What do you guys think about the owners? Like, is there more technology coming towards the owners so then they can be more aware of what's really happening on their construction site, or rather than get heavily edited facts from?
Well, I think they have a better starting point. Yeah, like they have a better, like previously. This is what I think we was talking about some time ago, where like the contractors typically held the information, like they had all the information, yeah. But now you can go on to like ChatGPT quite simply, or any other tool that you use, and you've got a good starting point, or you're at a better starting point from where you were even 1 or 2 years ago now. So I think that it definitely helps them.
Yeah.
But whether whether it changes things, I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's like previously, if you are the owner and you're developing like a large site, you have to have specialists looking out for you from different disciplines, right? The 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 different people looking at different sectors. Right now, if you can grasp the AI, well, I'm not saying that right now, but I feel like sooner rather than later, there will be an agent that will be capable enough to at least filter the bullshit very quickly as a one entity. Yeah, just thinking about the owners, I feel like they will actually benefit the most from the AI.
I do think there's a bifurcation between all the decisions you make in pre-construction and then execution on operations and how that'll materialize. So owners are going to get more involved in understanding their pricing optionality. Obviously, I'm betting on that with Edify, and there is more pricing optionality and there is more of a necessity to understanding the pricing optionalities you have in pre-con today than ever, because of escalation, because of limited supply and products in the market, delivery times. So all of those things can materially affect the overall cost. So it becomes much more of my blog was a capital allocation problem. You want to be able to make sure you're making the right capital allocation decision. So that's going to become more important. On the execution front, I do think agents can be materially beneficial because like a lot of construction management is coordination between many different companies. And I think agents can use a lot of these systems of record to ensure that everyone has the right information, which is historically one of the biggest problems. It's what the GC is, in a lot of respects, besides logistics, responsible for.
Yeah, information management. Yeah.
And we got a very good, nice comment actually regarding Turner 70,000 man hours. He said, someone says 70,000 man hours is nothing, and an individual person works 2,000. They let go of 35 people who probably took early retirement. So here is
but that was not Dustin's point, though. Dustin's point was it's not a saving if you continue paying that salary and you're not getting more productivity out of it. So that was the point. So just
it doesn't matter what the number is.
at least I would absolutely believe that. And to your point, 70,000 man hours in a company as big as Turner can be like that is absolutely realizable with AI, that you do certain things more efficiently. But does that efficiency actually translate into P&L and balance sheet in terms of value and productivity? So that's sort of where in AI, you're just making a lot of people in a corporate, oftentimes also less busy.
Yeah. And let's be honest, in corporate America, they were already not busy. So they need to, not do more stuff.
No, but now they're busy.
Now they're busy, yes. Coding, vibe coding.
Exactly.
Or spending tokens.
Got something to do.
Yeah.
A mandatory amount each month, of course.
Martin, is that a segue? Is that a segue?
Exactly. So what's happening to the price of AI? Why is everyone now going to Chinese models? And what did Meta do this week? Anyone?
What do you mean, everyone?
Yeah.
It's true. Not everyone. Definitely not me. But people who have a lot of money to spend, I guess it makes sense. So I guess we've seen this trending discussion ongoing or developing about like the open weights models, and open weights effectively means that you give away the technology behind is it restricted to large language models, or at least to like the AI model, I guess itself, but then you allow the user or the organization or whoever to build their own application and use cases on top of that technology. And the country which are developing these tools, I guess, at the quickest pace would be China, which is causing all sorts of issues because you have like American companies who are working on like potentially sensitive in an instance of construction projects where they're now like using these open weights models to process information through, which is a massive like national security threat. So I guess with that, we had the announcement of Meta this month. I don't know if this is like related, but I guess there's something to it. Meta, who now have announced that they're following a similar path to giving people access to open weights.
Open source, yeah.
I think it's like a slight nuance, but effectively the same. Does anyone, Patrick, do you know like what the difference would be?
The difference too? Sorry.
Like open source versus open weights?
Let's invite someone that can properly answer that, unless Dustin can.
I can't properly answer that.
So let me attempt, but this is going to be probably embarrassing to someone that is an AI researcher. So you can open source the actual model of how you're, for example, training and the inference that comes with it, or you can keep that closed source and you can open source the weights with which you can conduct your own training against the model. So that's like a non-technical, probably only half correct explanation. But thanks for putting me on the spot.
No worries. Yeah. Okay, fine. So the story really is that, the price of AI is going to zero.
Well, when I think about, I was with a very large national builder, and we were kind of talking about this. I was with them on Tuesday, but like, we haven't right-sized what models we're using, and this is where corporate America is like, do I need the latest model for ChatGPT or Anthropic for someone that's like searching emails or doing calendaring scheduling? Probably not. I probably need what's the most cost efficient for my organization. And this is, what could actually help a lot is that, or temper the build out of this market. So the foundational models, Anthropic, ChatGPT, and I guess it's just really Grok, have to spend an enormous amount of money and to build out these new data centers, or trying to spend an enormous amount of money because they think they're going to have all this revenue. But if a lot of that revenue gets diverted to much cheaper options because it's a better fit for the utilization cases, then I think you could see them even slow down their spending because they're realizing, we're not going to have $1 trillion in revenue in 3 years, or whatever we're projecting. But like right now, people use bazookas for something that you want like a hand knife to do or something.
Yeah.
Let's get Fable and I'm pouring movie tickets.
Exactly.
I'm responding to my emails with Fable.
Yeah. What?
I'm responding to my emails with Fable.
Yeah, but you're Martin.
Yeah. There was Anthropic was quite heavily trying to lobby, I think, the government that to regulate AI, and they wanted to regulate themselves actually, which I think the reason for it is if only them are approved to provide business worldwide, or at least in America, then this $1 trillion of profit about which you mentioned could realize. But if there is a proper competition and there's no like regulation or gates that only one company or two companies can provide the service, then competition will decide what's the lowest bid on the commodity.
I think you have too many players for it. Yeah, I suppose like what's the counter argument here though? Like you lose access if you're going to go to these open weights models, which are based on like slightly older versions of the most advanced AI that exists. You lose access to like that frontier layer, like you're maybe not using.
Yes, but no one doing rockets will be using like a old model. These people will be willing to pay a lot of money for that, and that's fair. You're just paying top dollar for the top technology because you have to. Yeah, you are in such a competitive business or so highly regulated business, but not every business is so highly regulated. So probably 9% of the business is not so regulated, right?
I don't think it's about regulation, though. No, it's about competition, like the urgency to get it done quickly. Like, so if you are, you know, doing some deep research, like you want to use the greatest model to make yourself more efficient. If you're a rocket scientist, you're going to be using. If you're an engineer, and the engineer's time is very valuable, then writing code, you're going to want to use the best model from Anthropic. But if you are an admin processing invoices,
depends what's the difference. What's the difference between the top model and the model below, which is a commodity? Yeah, is it like 100%, 100 times better, or is it just 1.5 times better? Yeah.
well, I think the transition will be when the models can actually reduce the headcounts. Then you would justify paying for the models. The corporate America is realizing they're not being able to reduce their headcount. They just staff gets marginally better.
Cost.
There's instances where people you can reduce headcount. It's just in corporate America.
I have a question there, actually, Dustin. So I once posted on LinkedIn, it's a few years ago, that I said I don't really trust CEOs who can't speak to their product, who don't understand their product, who cannot sell their product, who are not in the room occasionally to actually sell the product. Some of them maybe have engineered the product, but so many, if you look across companies, actually have no surface touch with the product, right? And why does that relate here? So let me ask you, in your company, Edify, I know you're very close to the product. You're close to the processes of the business too. Can you instruct your team about your ideas, what AI could do for you this week or next week? I assume the answer is yes.
100%. Almost every week.
Right? So, yeah. And do you think that's also, that has to do with you being so deeply immersed into the actual product that you're I mean, imagine we would helicopter you into, I don't know, completely different industry, completely different product that you have no idea about. You're now in cement.
Dating apps.
Hey, he knows a lot about them. Go to something else.
I think I know where you're going with this. I think the problem that we have with a lot of these publicly traded companies is that Wall Street wants financial stewards involved because they're looking for short-term outcomes. But if you want to build, look, I've never ran a publicly traded company. I've been a part of one, and I've seen a few very closely. Most leadership and even the second or third tier could not get in any of their products and actually show how it works.
My point.
Yeah. And so if you ask me, let's play a hypothetical. If I ever was running Procore or Autodesk, I would be able to absorb everything necessary to understand how the entire product surface area functions. Because in order to build a cohesive strategy, you need to know what your current limitations are. And so my strategy in something like that would be, I don't care if you have 50 product teams, you should meet with all 50 quarterly and making sure that their vision aligns. That's not happening. There is no cohesive unit, and most of it gets sugar-coated or watered down. It's just the nature of getting really big. But there's also few companies that are actually at a scale where they couldn't do it. They just choose not to do it because that's not what they've been put in place for.
I agree. And think about what that means, guys, right? So if you want to have AI deployed in order to generate the savings that we have been discussing, right? Or to generate completely new opportunities, but you have a governance, a leadership, a structure within your business that can't actually direct AI, coordinate or direct AI across the company to where it should be deployed strategically and tactically at the same time to generate that. If you don't have that governance, what that means is that you want distributed innovation. Sounds very, very good. The problem is that means that each silo only optimizes for its local maximum, if at all, because that already assumes, even within the local maximum, that you have competent people who know how to use AI and that they actually know their product and their process, how to optimize. And even then, you're only going to get local maxima, right? So this is why we're not seeing all these things. This is why we're spending so many tokens but you're not seeing the transformational nature of it just yet, in my opinion.
That makes total sense.
Because no one above is overseeing it and like, implementing stuff across the board for everyone.
That's one way of phrasing what I said. Yes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it actually probably comes down to because they don't know how to. Like the technology is coming thick and fast, and disrupted a lot of things, and like there's a lot of uncertainty still because of it.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Like, look at the construction innovation managers in construction tech. Maybe the right role is not innovation manager now. Will be something associated with AI across the business. That's how you would get some gains associated with this technology, rather than having people who are specialist in construction technology, but still the construction technology is not so smart yet to connect with one with another to provide these gains. You guys are getting where I'm coming from?
That can integrate. Like someone who understands integration.
Well, innovation managers in construction companies, they know what's out there on the market, what technologies are there, and they're trying to implement these in the business, in the operations to provide efficiency. Is that right or not?
You have to ask them. But yeah.
But what I'm saying is, are these people specialists in AI and processes, business processes, operation processes? Probably not. I think it might be this different set of people who would be willing to provide these efficiency gains.
Yeah, I mean they rely a lot on third parties, right? And you just have to make sure you know who the best vendors are to be able, who are up to speed and trust that they're gonna give you what you need. And
explain.
Here's a actual reflection of the problem you just talked about, Patrick and Martin. Why I think that to effectuate change, corporate America hasn't done this. In some experiences, I was thinking about putting a blog about it, but I think about the standard RFP process that corporate America does. Okay, an RFP process says what you want the software to do, which this is how dumb corporate America is. They think that they know the best solution. If they knew the best solution, then with AI, they could go actually make a change. What a proper RFP process should actually be. And no one will do this because then it would require them admitting that they have problems. Is say, hey, here are issues within our organization or inefficiencies that we know we can correct. Show us how you'd solve our problem. Show us the better light. What value are you going to be to course correct? Which is different than trying to specify what the action is. You're trying to define the problems that you want someone to come in and solve. That would be a proper RFP. No one does it. Zero. Never got it.
Sounds to me like someone should define their automation roadmap, Owen, to our earlier conversation.
Well, what does that make so much
more sense? Where this is going now.
Like instead, like I got RFPs where they're like, we want it to look like this. I'm like, that's what you're worried about, the output. Nothing about how it all works good. Like what like
and in an age of where it's so cheap to customize solutions for you, why are you looking for the monolithic one that already exists? This is really, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And you know what it is? It's actually like, this is why public projects always suck. What does a public project do? They say, we want this building fully designed and specified. Okay, you have no idea the constructability problems. You have no procurement calendar. You did no pre-con process. Here's the shit you get, and we're going to change order the hell out of you. Rather, you start talking about what are you trying to accomplish in the pre-con process. You start vetting out, like, what are your objectives? What pricing options do you have? What procurement strategy can we build that's going to make this project deliver on time? You get the ROI or meet your objectives.
The problem you've got is the culture.
Is that Dustin? Sorry, you're just assuming
all industries.
Yeah,
the corporation.
You're just assuming that humans are inherently competent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And change.
of society is always getting worse.
Look, and we have said this before on this podcast. I don't know how long ago it is, months, if not years, but for all its flaws, this is exactly why the defense industry oftentimes has the better idea of how to procure, because they say this is the number of rounds per minute, and this is, in this weather, Arctic weather, it has to be able to withstand that kind of temperature, etc. When it gets messy is when the bureaucrats actually get to define that. But when the generals who are actually in combat you know what I mean, Dustin?
That's exactly. The plane is like, we don't know how to build it. We need it capable of this. Exactly. And they say, go, and then they have a design presentation. They're like, oh, who built the best fucking badass?
That's it. And it always gets messed up when you let the bureaucrats then meddle with the requirements.
And on all these things.
Yeah. So if you want to purchase a new, helicopter deployable four-wheeler for the Delta Force, why would you ask a guy in a suit? Tell me that.
Because that's what we've been doing for the last X years.
And Dustin is right. That's exactly how corporate America, corporate Europe procure. 100% true.
100%.
But it's also true, just to close the loop on this one, Martin, it's also true because actually the people on that side, they don't understand their product. It's like, if you really want to go to root cause, ask yourself, in a 70,000 person organization, how many of these will really, really know and understand the product typically? In a startup, it's typically close to 100%.
I'm telling you, I was a part of an RFP process. I won't say that the contractor. I know why the RFP originated. The CEO saw something at a pitch that he was going to for a client. I want that output. It was straight up that output. He didn't question why their team can't do that output. He didn't question like the overall infrastructure. They didn't question anything. They said, we want pretty picture. But so it was a checkbox of, can you deliver pretty pictures? Not like, hey, how are these pictures actually built? It's just...
I mean, that really sounds like taking your kid to a candy store about as informed. I want that lollipop.
So what's the strategy? How to get there to this mind shift?
I mean, I know for a fact we have a lot of executives that listen to this podcast. RFPs could be so much more constructive if people would just say, you know what, we're okay. You tell us what cool ideas you're working on. We want to make, in general, this whole thing work better. Like, it can be small, large, but stop focusing on saying it has to do this or it has to do that. Like, show us how you get us to the finish line.
Mm-hmm. Take us on the journey, baby.
And if I may say, that is the opportunity for that is even bigger in robotics for construction companies. So if construction companies sit down and do not go only after, hey, what kind of robotics already exists in the market? Absolutely, you should do that, because sometimes there is this one perfect fit that you should know. But you should complement that with saying, okay, let us actually write our automation roadmap. Different ways how to do that, but one that I really, really like and can recommend wholeheartedly is as simple as your jobs to be done. So write a spreadsheet, go on the job site, select a certain task area that you want to break down, and then go to jobs to be done. And a good job to be done for a robotic automation roadmap is something that says, like, you need to open the door. That's as granular as you should go, because actually building a solution is going to happen against that level of specificity. So start with that and then call Owen. He can help you.
No public announcements just yet. Yeah, I suppose like maybe the picture I'm painting in my head of what you're describing here, Patrick, is like robotics that exists in the industry right now. Like people are like finding a way to get that robot to fit into their organization, rather than like looking at the organization and saying, we have this problem, this specific problem.
Mm-hmm.
We need a solution that's going to help us solve that, rather than like look at a solution that's already out, which actually doesn't solve the problems, but they need to go shopping because they need to adopt robotics somewhere. Does it make sense what I'm saying? They're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Let's say it that way.
Very few companies are open to adjusting their organization for what the market has. They want the market to adjust to what they have.
Yes.
They do not want to look at maybe the market has a better idea than their current practices, or the market can take them in a direction, and they can participate along the way, and which is unfortunate. But I get it. You gotta steer a ship while you gotta navigate choppy waters and
everything else. And yeah, change is hard in these big companies. All right, guys, let's leave corporate America and Europe alone.
Yeah, we'll talk about Meta.
Meta?
Yeah,
What do you want to say?
Interesting text. Did they partner with a gigantic? They partnered with the North America's builder trade unions. Anyone see? Yeah,
No?
look it up. To
Tell
help
me more.
The apprentice programs.
Yeah. Meta's putting some money to work to.
Oh, okay.
I actually like how Meta's approaching a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. I think that Mark Zuckerberg gets a lot of criticism, but it's like he has a different approach to things, yeah?
I don't know.
You mentioned them earlier in the open waste thing, and now you see this. Another training partnership program related to the development of construction jobs in the US.
Yeah.
Designed to support training for skilled trade workers across the country. So they previously announced a Workforce Academy training initiative, and this partnership will see Meta working with the North America building trades unions to develop registered apprenticeship programs related to data center construction.
I mean, you don't hear this out of any of the other ones. This is good. At least they're putting some money to work. I think the last one they were putting 115 million. I'm sure they're putting some money here too.
Do you think it's a good use of shareholders' capital?
I'm sure it's a write-off.
My question remains: what happens after the boom?
Music stops, and there's a silence.
Well, as Patrick talked about last week, doesn't necessarily have to be one. Money's infinite now.
Well, but maybe it's maybe the Japan theory. There is something in it, and you will see declining standard of living, and erosion of value of the currency, which you can for sure see so far. Looking at the debt coming from 23 trillion to 40 trillion in 6 years, that's like 40 something percent.
That's why
so it has to.
Bitcoin billionaire, right?
What?
You're going to be a Bitcoin billionaire?
Yeah, everyone will be a billionaire sooner or later if it goes this way. I don't know in the Bitcoin, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, guys. Well, shall we wrap this thing up?
Sounds good.
Ciao, ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I don't know how to